Gabe Gutierrez is back with us from the White House. We're also joined by former U.S. Ambassador to Russia and MSNBC International Affairs analyst Michael McFaul and staff writer for The Atlantic, Anne Applebaum. Thank you all for being part of this conversation. Gabe, first, do we expect those new sanctions to go into effect today before a meeting is finalized? Are they being used sort of as a bargaining chip to get Putin to the table?
Well, that, Anna, is a huge question at this point. You're right that President Trump laid out today as being the deadline for that ceasefire, but we have not yet heard from the White House whether it, in fact, will go into effect, although we did have earlier indications throughout the week that, yes, indeed. Now, the president was asked about this, so whether he still planned to impose these secondary sanctions on Russia. He was asked about this yesterday. Let's listen to that.
Is your deadline still standing for Vladimir Putin to agree to a ceasefire tomorrow, or is that fluid now?
It's going to be up to him. We're going to see what he has to say. It's going to be up to him. Very disappointed. They would like to meet with me, and I'll do whatever I can to stop the killing.
So again, a lot of questions there, Anna. The president saying it'll be up to Vladimir Putin, even though President Trump said it would be up to him whether to impose these sanctions. But the president has been increasingly frustrated with the Russian leader over the last several weeks, saying he's been repeatedly disappointed by Vladimir Putin. Still, there are also questions about whether this face-to-face meeting between President Trump and Vladimir Putin could happen perhaps as early as next week, according to the Kremlin, perhaps in a place like the UAE. The White House, though, saying at this point nothing has been agreed to. And another major question is whether that meeting between Putin and President Trump would include Ukrainian President Zelensky. We don't yet know the answer to that question either, Anna.
A lot of uncertainty still this morning. Gabe, thank you for all your reporting. Ambassador, for months, both Trump and Putin have been hyping up a bilateral meeting. The New York Times reports that Putin is so keen on it because, quote, he believes that such a meeting, rather than just progress on the battlefield, is his best chance for securing a victory in his war against Ukraine. Do you agree? How do you see it?
Tragically, I do see it the same way. I hope I'm wrong. I hope the president has a strategy for a ceasefire and for an equitable kind of peace deal that is in Ukrainian interests and American interests as well. But I fear that in the hurry to get a deal and to get a meeting, the president is going to give Putin what he wants most, which is what you're showing right now. He wants a meeting next to President Trump that gives him legitimacy. Remember, he's a pariah in most democracies, but to stand there next to Trump, that is a great gift to Vladimir Putin. President Trump claims he's a transactional leader. I hope he has something in mind for a gift in return for the United States and for Ukraine.
And so if this is a gift to Putin, having this face-to-face with President Trump, as we're hearing from Ambassador McFaul, what's in it for President Trump? Realistically, what can he accomplish? What are allies hoping to see?
I think I would back up a second and say there are two things to keep in mind when watching what happens over the next few days. One is that the Russians have never said publicly, and Putin has never said publicly, that he's giving up his main goal. And his main goal is still the destruction of Ukraine. And actually, just a week ago, a Russian state newspaper published a definitive editorial saying no one should remain alive in Ukraine. So the idea of Ukrainian destruction is still part of the Russian conversation and debate, and there isn't really any evidence that they have withdrawn from that. I mean, I think the second thing to say is that the history of Russian negotiations, if you look at the previous negotiations in a previous era after the 2014 invasion, is that the Russians like to use negotiations to prolong things, to draw it out, to prevent sanctions, to prevent things from getting worse. And I worry that President Trump's team might, as Ambassador McFaul just said, might want some quick deal, and they will not see that this is part of Russia's longer strategy, which is maybe they would stop the war for a little bit, but which would be to start it again at some later time. And so I hope very much, as has just been said, I hope very much that there is a longer term strategy, that there's an idea of what to do if Putin reneges on his word or if he doesn't do what he says he's going to do. But I fear there is a rush to have a TV show that will, maybe be good for the president's popularity.
So interesting to talk about what Putin's goals are at this point. Ambassador, people close to the Kremlin tell the New York Times that Putin's top priority is actually not territory. It's keeping Ukraine out of NATO, limiting Ukrainian military capabilities, and laying the groundwork for a more Moscow-friendly government in Kyiv. Does that make sense to you?
It's all of the above. And Anne is absolutely right. Not ever. I follow what Putin says closely. I follow what his aide says closely. Never once since he launched this full-scale barbaric invasion of Ukraine has he hinted that he's changed his goals. Remember, if you buy a map in Russia today, 4 of the territories of Ukraine are part of that, Crimea as well. But the Russian forces have not yet conquered those 4 regions. So I don't see any scenario under which he abandons that goal. I think he's pursuing all those goals. There's not one that's a priority and one that's not. I think he's pursuing them all, and he believes that he can achieve that objective because President Trump just wants to end the war, and he's not that concerned about the actual terms of it. Again, I hope I'm wrong. I hope there has been some preparation for this summit. I hope that there's been all kinds of secret negotiations that we don't know about it to get a tangible outcome. But what I fear is the meeting is happening before it has been prepared. And that can lead to, I think, very disastrous consequences when President Trump is in the room with Putin and nobody else is in there who has prepared the meeting, let alone attends the meeting. Remember, that's what happened in Helsinki the last time these 2 gentlemen met.
And yet, President Trump is talking a lot tougher going into this potential meeting between him and Putin, and we don't know the details about who else might be involved in that conversation. And your latest article raises alarms about what happens when the U.S. cedes global leadership through the lens of the brutal civil war in Sudan. President Trump seems to think he has influence on global strongmen. But when you look at the wars in Ukraine and in Gaza as well, are these relationships perhaps proving more complicated than he anticipated?
I think the main point is that a global global order isn't really maintained just by personal relationships. I know that President Trump likes to have relationships with leaders, and he thinks that he can do a personal deal with them or have a conversation and change the situation. But it's happening at a time when all kinds of other institutions and mechanisms and ways that we used to help conflicts come to an end are disappearing. And so whether it's in Sudan or whether it's in Ukraine, you don't have, for example, really a role for the UN anymore, which you might have had 15 years ago. There's no UN envoy who has any credibility. So you've had the deterioration of those institutions. In Sudan, you have the deterioration of aid institutions, of USAID, which has had a knock-on effect on all kinds of other organizations. And so people feel and see the withdrawal of the U.S. from all kinds of theaters and areas, from medicine, from aid, from science. And they, and that Trump is wheeling and dealing with individuals doesn't fully make up for it. I mean, again, I'm with Mike. I mean, I hope there is, I do hope for a good outcome. I would love to see this war end. And I'm glad there are people who are trying to make it end. So I don't want to say that it's pointless, but, we're living in a world where there is a broader global deterioration, and simple, the whims or the words of one man won't fix that. We need a deeper strategy.
Clearly, it's all very complicated. Anne Applebaum, Ambassador Michael McFaul, thank you both so much for your insights.